Hello traders, this is Rich from tradesight. This is a look at our market preview of our leading equities for the coming session. This is going to be for Tuesday, July 9th, 2013. As we look through our list here, we're going to see that we don't have a decisive bias here either way of buys or sells, but there are some interesting individual issues. If I can turn your attention to the bottom of this list for our NASDAQ leaders, Netflix and Sina are both showing a lot of strength here. The Sina actually has an upside CPS condition that's 2.5% above the day's open and closing fairly near the open, admittedly on slightly less than wonderful volume. The Netflix is having a very strong day, but that's pulled off the high significantly, and at least right now with some time before the close is showing a differential sell condition. So that's not something you want to be taking home tonight, and certainly something that could be on the short list for tomorrow. SanDisk, along with a lot of the other semiconductor type names, are very, very weak today. This is 4% below the day's open on above average volume, and a full 1% below the day's VWAP. I think if you examine the other semiconductors on the name, most of those are very, very weak as well. Look at Altera and Broadcom, all very, very weak today. Moving on down to the financials, a little bit of a mixed condition here. We do have some strength in these names, but we don't have any buy signals. We're only seeing sell signals as of right now. We've got a sell signal in Citigroup, Goldman Sachs, ICE, and also the NYX. Most of these are above the open for the most part, but a lot of them are kind of struggling here in the afternoon. We're starting to see some distribution here in this sector. Moving on to the energy names. The energy names are a little bit better to sell. BP is notably weak, 155% of its typical volume with the camouflage sell signal. We're also seeing that condition in Chevron and Devon to different degrees. Chesapeake CHK is very, very weak today. PBR is weak, but it's off the lows of the days and is sporting a differential buy signal. Moving on to the generals, again, kind of a mixed condition here. We do have some strength, but we're being offset here almost equally by some sell signals. We've got upside CPS conditions in Comcast and also Dow, so those will be on the list for tomorrow. On the long side, on the short side, focus on GE and Pfizer to the downside. Housing names again are mixed. DHI is having a very weak session, more than 3% below the day's open and 1.5% below the VWAP, but that is starting to curl up here a little bit and sporting a differential buy condition. Lowe's is the one that's really showing some decent strength. That's got an upside CPS condition. It's above the day's VWAP and 1.5%, approximately above the day's open. Transports, nothing really here. No volume bumps, no VWAP or open close deviations. And finally on to the commodity patch. Two-way trade here. Some are weak and some are strong. Newmont's in conflict right now. It's got a signal on both sides. That'll probably resolve itself before the close. That's 4% below the day's open. Double G, similar condition, real weak. This one does have a downside CPS condition. 1.75% below the day's open. Barrick Gold also fairly weak. This one's trying to put in a differential buy by closing high enough above the day's low, but it hasn't settled just yet, so it's still trying to get that done. So all in all, today we've got signals on both sides, but not a real bias either way. But there are some interesting names to keep on top of for tomorrow. As always, thanks for listening. This has been Rich for tradesight.